Hi everyone, welcome. Sunday. Let's get to it. Um, we'll be using the regular prayer that's in the Discord, the one that we used last week, the white papers, both of them. Additionally, to this week we're gonna go over Patrul Rinpoche's work, his oral instructions. Who is that? Om Yoga. Which one? Could be so many people, I swear, I don't even know. Um, But yeah, we're gonna go over Patrul Rinpoche's great initial instructions. It's happening. Yeah, we're gonna go over Words of My Perfect Teacher. God, I love this book. This book highlights from beginning to end every I guess oral instruction and steps and guides, with reference books and so forth that you would need to progress along Vajrayana. Patrul Rinpoche, of course, a very accomplished, very amazing teacher. Highly recommend you doing your own deep dive into him as a person overall. Great, amazing. This work in particular, let me find it, give me a second. Um, this has the books have the forward from the Dalai Lama himself, signed this one. Let's see a nice one here. Uh, yes. So this book in and of itself contains in it the preliminaries and everything you would need to know how to and when to practice for along the path of Dzogchen, towards Dzogchen. Because it's written from, I think Patrul Rinpoche is I want to say he's a Nyingma tradition teacher. And so, yeah, okay. Let's see if I can read you a last little thing from the beginning. Yes. Yes, so the words of my perfect teacher, a guide to the preliminaries for the heart essence of the vast expanse from the great perfection, sets out the paths of the four main schools of Tibetan Buddhism without any conflict between them. It contains all the teachings, including the steps and paths for those of all three levels of understanding, along with the three main themes of the path, the three perceptions, preliminaries for the path and fruit, the Buddha nature as the cause, precious human life as a support, the spiritual friend as the impetus, his instructions as the method, and the kayas and wisdoms as the results. This book in itself, and you beginning to have a touch or want to touch deeper into Tibetan Buddhism, Vajrayana definitely is a must before any other book, I would say, to be honest. Because you don't want things I find with Vajrayana books is that you either get one that tries to gives you instructions while like written down in the book, you're not gonna get too far with that without going through a full, getting that relationship with the teacher there, trying to meet some people to talk about these practices. Because if you go from the book, chances are you can do two things. You can either progress really slowly, or you can progress and then you think you're going somewhere when in reality you don't have the full context of what's going on, and so you'll kind of give yourself a false illusion of like, I'm getting something, I'm getting there, wherever there is, I don't know. And so yeah, I think it's very important that the book one category of the books is that, and then you have the other category of the books, which are the ones that give you so many words about it. And that's great if you are one of those who can really understand subtle philosophical input from these kind of traditions, go for it. No, Kitty's trying to get it. It's fine. But yeah, yeah, and then that way you will have an intellectual understanding, which I think you should, beginning of any of the, even the main like direct path teachings like Dzogchen and Mahamudra, get that intellectual understanding. That's actually the first wall or the first empowerment that's given in Dzogchen. Dzogchen is given to you in four empowerments, and the first one is the intellectual one. They speak about it intellectually, so you begin to really wrap your whole concepts around it. And the concepts are big, right? Concepts are big. They're big net they throw. And so your mind begins to slowly expand to meet that. One second. Actually, no, should be fine. Yeah, and good. All right, let's get to it. It's 8:06, perfect timing. All right, everyone. Okay, here we go. As always, we're gonna take refuge and generate bodhicitta. Cannot emphasize enough the importance of these two steps. If you are beginning to practice, you wish to continue this. Honestly, in any practice, in some way or the other, acknowledge that this practice is helping you. Acknowledge that you have a goal. And what we say in the Vajrayana, Mahayana, whatever, Dzogchen, whatever, is that goal should be, your perfect enlightenment, your complete, perfect freedom, as it is, for the sake of all sentient beings. You generate this mind in which you give up the fruits of all practice, you give up the fruits of nirvana, you give up the fruits of samsara, you give it up. Offer it all up. Offer up all the universes and all its riches, all the mystical states you can experience. Offer it all up entirely. With this mind, you offer it all up. This way, there can be no clinging to whatever arises for you. No matter how mystical it gets, no matter the visions you get in Togal, no matter what, special thing that you feel as though is so internally great that you need to cling to it, give it up. You are offering it until the point you arrive at the natural state in which you offer that too. I will read, if you have time, the Kagyu lineage prayers, that book in the Garshan Rinpoche website. It's really beautiful. It says, I offer up the natural state, the supreme natural state for the benefit of all beings. As you know, the natural state as it is, there's nothing going on. There's nothing happening. There are no thoughts, there are no emotions, nothing there. Yet everything can arise as it is lucidly. You offer that up because in that is the entirety of the path right there. All right, that's too much Dzogchen. All right, go. Okay. Let's go. I'm going to start with the loving kindness metta. It's in the side. You don't have to just meditate along with it. If you can, as always, I want you to, for the loving kindness part, as always, think of something that you love. Think of something that brings you at least that feeling of compassion or love. It's arise. If it's a cat, do it. If it's a dog, do it. It's a partner, do it. It's a game. Whatever it is that you can bring up that arises that. And as you get that in touch with that feeling, once again, what that feels like, what love feels like, joy feels like, compassion, stay there with it. And now we say the prayer in that context of it. Okay. Loving kindness metta. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, content and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later approve. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none other through anger, ill will, wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all beings, all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths. In this moment, if you can, visualize, if you are feeling that love, that joy, visualize it expanding out. Expand that light outward. If you can, visualize it as a stream touching someone near to you and let them feel it. Ignite them, ignite their heart with that. Visualize that, feel that. Good. Outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one having clarity of wisdom and vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. The Lama said, in the beginning, meditate on compassion. In the middle, meditate on compassion. In the end, meditate on compassion. This is hard advice. Good. Prayers are done. Amen. Now we take refuge, then Bodhicitta. Okay, refuge now, as we've been over this, once again, when the words are said, don't let it be technical. Don't let it stay as just words. Try to feel that, arise that motivation that you have for refuge. The entirety of the individual path, the Theravada, so-called Hinayana, whatever, the entirety of that is contained in refuge. because that is what you're doing. You individually recognize that you need refuge to be freed from the balance of samsara. Okay. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment by the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest. May I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. Okay. Bodhicitta. Same thing. If you can, let that love be there. Rest with it. Supplicate your teacher. Bodhicitta is precious. May it arise in whom it has not arisen. Once arisen, may it ever grow and flourish. If you are lucky enough, I would say, to have recognized this interdependency we have to each other, and develop an appreciation and love for that interdependency that is filled with equanimity. If you are one of those who that has arisen in, let it flourish. May it flourish. You practice, you know you practice, and you practice because you notice this interdependency. Yes. Okay. All righty. Welcome, everyone. Okay, let's get started. So today we're going to be looking at section 1 of the ordinary, or called outer preliminaries. This is very simple teaching, I would say, but one that I think a lot of us, no matter where you are in your practice, need to be reminded of. Okay. No, don't jump on this computer. Okay. All right. She jumped up. Yeah. Conduct. We're going to look at the conduct here. And if we have time, we'll go into, so the first conduct is what to avoid. The first of the conduct section is what to avoid in your conduct while, receiving Dharma teachings. The right conduct while listening to teachings is described in terms of what to avoid and what to do. What to avoid. We're going to look at that now. Conduct to avoid includes the 3 defects of the pot, the 6 stains, and the 5 wrong ways of remembering. Okay. A lot of us, listen to a lot of Dharma teachings on Zoom and wherever we go from different people. We go for it, we listen to it, good. It's always important to remember now that even if for a person in your life who's starting the Dharma, who's new, it's important that they understand this part here. Because what I found with people who are not familiar with it, when they receive the teaching, you'll see they fall into one of these pots called the pot containing poison. Is that they receive the teaching, and instead of leaving the teaching as that what is given to them, that direct sentence, the direct phrasing, they switch it up. It goes in, they kind of think it over a bit, and after a while, I guess they somehow got it and switched the teaching around to fit more of what they wanted to believe. And it sort of moved the teaching from where it was and where it was given to them. Okay. Let's go. The 3 defects of the pot. Not to listen is like a pot turned upside down. Personal, right? If you're just not going to listen, you're just not going to go in. Not to be able to retain what you hear is to be like a pot with a hole in it. To mix negative emotions with what you hear is to be like a pot with poison in it. And one of the frequent emotions I see getting mixed in when people hear Dharma teachings is pride. Pride is a funny one. Pride gets in there, pride creeps in there, it coats itself in sometimes in mystical language. It's very tricky when pride comes in when you're listening to Dharma teachings. Okay. So the upside down pot. Very simple. When you are listening to the teachings, listen to what is being said and do not let yourself be distracted by anything else. Otherwise, you will be like an upside down pot on which liquid is being poured. Although you are physically present, you do not hear a word of the teaching. The pot with a hole in it. If you just listen without remembering anything that you hear, understand, you will be like a pot with a leak. However much liquid is poured into it, nothing can stay. No matter how many teachings you hear, you can never assimilate them or put them into practice. This one here, I think, is, bring a notebook if you want. Like, just put in your notes. Something, when it catches your ear and you're there for that and, you want to remember it, write it down. Just, I know Dharma is all about, the whole being present thing, but being present is also me writing it down. You can be write it down, be present with it. Okay. The pot containing poison. If you listen to the teachings with the wrong if you listen to the teaching with the wrong attitude, such as desire to become great or famous, or a mind full of the five poisons, the Dharma will not only fail to help your mind, it will also be changed into something that's not Dharma at all, like nectar poured into the pot containing poison. A quote from Padma Sanghe is listed here. It says, "Listen to the teachings like a deer listening to music. Contemplate them like a northern nomad shearing sheep." They're very precise, very meticulous in their entirety without distractions. This is how the nomad shears sheep. Meditate on them like a dumb person savoring food. A dumb person can taste but not describe the flavors they are tasting. In the same way, the taste of true meditation is beyond description of our concepts. Practice them like a hungry yak eating grass, so ferociously, I guess, so persistently, and reach their results like the sun coming out from behind the clouds. That one you can definitely go see for yourself tomorrow when it's sunny. Just take a look and just admire when that sun breaks through, how it looks, how it feels, the warmth. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. That was that. Now we're going to go to the 6 stains, and then we're going to go into meditation. Okay. Oh, actually, no, we'll leave it there for that because I do want to touch on something regarding samsara before we continue this. All right, that's good. That was the end of the 3 defects of the pot, in which to contemplate them, I think a lot of, everyone should at some point. Make sure that these contemplations are precise. You're not sitting there just thinking about other things, but really sit there with the teaching of the pots. Make sure that every time you're listening to teachings, Dharma teachings, that's there, that's present with you. Also, it'll be an indicator too for you, whoever is looking for a qualified teacher, just because they're qualified doesn't mean they're for you. Some teachers have certain personalities that just won't mix with certain personalities. It's kind of how it is, right? Like, it's just, if you are, if your personalities do match and it's sort of like a nice little harmony, good, perfect. But a lot of times when it comes to teachers, their personality just, it's a lot of, maybe with their personality, their beliefs, little things like that, you might not agree with it on that level. But still, their ability to point out to you the teachings are so profound that you cannot deny it. You cannot deny that relationship that is there. And so with the pots, the pots will help you with the first part to see, well, if I'm listening to this person, I don't really get it a lot of the times. Well, let me try the teaching, and then if the pot thing doesn't work, then you move on. Don't cling too hard because you think you have to have this teacher. Okay. All right, good. So I'm sorry. Once I pull this up. This one's from I think I really want to share with you all. It's from the James Lowe Emptiness video I sent on in the Discord there. God, that's an amazing lecture, by the way. Like, he really touched on everything possible you can with emptiness. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was a splendid work on his part. Samsara here, I think, is beautiful. The effort to freeze the world, to turn the flow of experience, which is interactive and beyond prediction, and turn it into something reliable and predictable. This is how we describe samsara. He describes samsara as our constant need to make it into something reliable and predictable. The constant need we have to narrate over and over again and sort of superimpose this trust into something that's always changing. We develop this need, this habit of constantly pushing your trust into samsara, because when the imprints of our attachment arises in relation to the objects, when that occurs, we have this strong urge, this habitual tendency to believe it. Very, very simple. The habitual tendency is so strong to believe what's arising, the narrative that's arising in your mind. And so the knowledge of emptiness limits that. The knowledge of emptiness creates the spaciousness needed so that habitual energy can relax by itself. So that you understand, even though the habitual energy has arisen, the thoughts, the emotion, the perception that's flowing, you have seen, you have studied, you have practiced long enough to have the confidence to know, oh, I need not even react to it. I need not believe it to be really real, permanently real, as though it can create a stain on me. This is the recognition there. That's what emptiness allows us for. And when that happens, when that recognition is there of the empty nature, even intellectually, it might, intellectually will exhaust you to constantly be doing this. But go for it. It's amazing. Good practice. You do this intellectually, and then all of a sudden you'll notice your need, that little habit, that craving to create more narratives, to speak more words about the thing, that just falls away. Because clinging isn't there. Craving isn't there, clinging isn't there. And like, was it Naropa said, it isn't appearances that bind you. It's cravings that bind us, right? Cravings bind. It's that need to, for example, when you have like deep mystical experiences, the first time a being has one of those, they have this urge to speak, to constantly bring it up. And that's beautiful. It'll help them on the path. Towards more experienced practitioners who have been doing it for a while, stop. Whatever experience you have, how beautiful, amazing it is, words shrink it. Trying to fit something indescribable. Because, like, remember, he says the flow of experience, which is interactive and beyond prediction. Right here, interactive and beyond prediction. Meaning interactive as in, yes, you had the experience. It's beautiful. Whatever you experience, mystical or normal, the normal phenomenon occurring, you had that. Your mind was there to have it. Your mind interacted with something, seemingly interacted with something, and there you have an experience. What we're saying is that the inherent nature of the experience is empty. It's not permanent. This is very freeing if you can really hone in on this. It's very freeing to know that whatever experiences you have, whatever experiences you go through, anger, jealousy, hatred, annoyance to yourself, to another person, whoever it is being you're directing this energy towards, emptiness lets you know that you no longer have to hold it. You're under no obligation to hold it. You've never been under obligation to hold it. Yet people carry with them grudges because they think, oh, I felt it, so therefore, intrinsically, I must carry it. I felt it, therefore I must contain it always, bring it up always. No, that's not what we're saying is you don't have to. You can relax the clinging. You don't need to constantly, hold on so tightly to them. But you'll see when you try to do this, it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And that's why study and practice is so important. You can't get anywhere there without it. You can't think your way to it, consistently, sustainably. Thinking is good, but eventually you'll move on to, different stages of meditation and emptiness. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say about samsara and emptiness. Yes. Cool. Time is it? 24. Yeah. Any questions before we begin the 15-minute meditation? On your meditation, or one you should do right now, or one you want to do. If anything, just use the pebble, whatever meditation you have going on, go for it as a group. While sitting, thoughts may have arisen. They arise and they bring with them a series of other thoughts. Many thoughts come up when you sit, and one after the other, they link and come together. That linking and that coming together, that union there, the interdependency of the thoughts doing this, we call nam talk. Nam talk, right? Nam is just the individual thought, the thoughts that go by one after the other, the other. Talk is the linking of them. This constant linking is occurring, this habitual linking, and so thought patterns arise and thought fixations occur. What we're saying is that interdependency appears. Spontaneously, that interdependency occurs in all its lucidity, in all its changing, ever fresh form. That interdependency of phenomena arises. Do not keep emptiness over here as a separate thing. It's the wisdom of emptiness, the realization of emptiness, the realization of the empty essence of phenomena, meaning the empty essence of that interdependent arising, right? We're saying that even though it appears and it relates to each other very deeply, very intimately, there's no fixed solidity to any of it. Meaning whatever you are experiencing in this moment, whatever your mind is directly experiencing in this moment, in and of itself, it has no fixed, independent, solid selfhood to it. Therefore, to hold on to it is an illusion. You're holding on to a remnants of it, a shadow of it, less than a shadow of what has gone. To hold on to any of it that has passed, and all things are changing in every moment. In every moment, interdependency is there. Nothing exists independent there, independently real there. It arises interdependent, sustained by interdependence. If I pick up this book, I know that if I drop it, I'm not worried that it'll just float into the sky. I know if I drop this book, gravity will do its job, right? That interdependency is there. It is just as much confidence that you have without even to think about it, that if I drop this book, it will actually fall. Never in your mind did you doubt if I drop this book, it will fall. Never did you have the thought if this dropped, it wouldn't just, it would float about. It is that same kind of sort of given confidence, like, it's just a given. The confidence you have in something is just a given. That's the realization that, it's just a given. Of course, everything that arises in mind and everywhere is empty. And because of that, there's no need. There's no need there to cling anything. The need there, the habitual need to cling, the energy of clinging relaxes itself the more you can remember this. To see emptiness directly as a nature of phenomena and not some separate thing. Emptiness and interdependency are not separate. They're not separate. Okay. All right, any questions before we see if we can do something small towards the end, and then if we can call it a night? But any questions? Anything else? Any questions that we want to talk about? Any practice related questions? Okay. Okay, cool. With that, I want to touch on one more thing, the reifying practice part here. As practitioners, if you've been doing this for a while, watch out for this one thing, I would say. Where you begin to, yes, you should delve heart and soul into practice, and that should be it. But there's this fine thing that can happen where you take practice, I'm a practitioner, to the extreme. It's taken to the extreme when you start to feel, a lot of suffering because you're practicing. Maybe you're cutting out something prematurely, or you're trying to force yourself into one way of being, or here and there. That's how you've taken practice to the extreme. And so what I want to touch about is this thing of reifying practice. Practice also is empty, right? All forms, all aggregate. This thing called practice is an aggregate. It's made up of things that put together to form this thing we call practice. Good. We all know that. Good. And so therefore, do not reify it. Do not fix it and say, okay, well, my practice is like this now. Yes, it might appear that way. Yes, that is an appearance that's happening. You can have that relation to it now, but be careful not to fix it. Because when you fix it, what happens is you shut down every other potential. Yes, your practice is like that now. Fine. But if you are fixed to that reification, you will not allow other openness, the openness of potential to arrive to you, aka blessings. Blessings arise from non-clinging. Blessings are allowed to enter when mind is rested and coated in compassion and love. Blessings enter that way. That's why devotion is so powerful. Not only does devotion relax the selfhood, it also arises love and compassion. And in that moment, that's what you say devotion, the nature of your mind. Love and emptiness, love and selflessness. I prefer selflessness when we're talking about emptiness here. It gives a more lively interpretation of it. Emptiness, lack of selfhood, therefore selflessness. You're selfless. You're just resting selflessly for beings. You're not concerned, at this point, you're not concerned too much of what's happening to this thing called the you, to the appearance of a you. And so here, I think I want to touch on this. Empty, right? Just the two word, emptiness. Let's look at empty here for a second again. Bob Thurman said something, his philosophical take on this is so cute. It's so brilliant, I think. He says that, when people hear about empty, they think of, empty like a vacuum, right? They think of a nothing. Like, oh, I'm empty, therefore I am nothing. Okay. He says very simply, very simple, like I think there's an argument to it, is this. How can you be nothing? Nothing is not it's not a thing that you can be. Nothing is not a substantial, it's lunacy to say you become nothing. Take away the whole like spiritual, no thing. No. Put that aside. For the being who has fallen into nihilism to think I am nothing and feel despair because of the thought I am nothing, look at this very carefully. You might experience an absence of things, yes, but never do not reify that absence of things as a thing and call it nothingness and then get scared of it. Be very careful that this does not occur. These little fears you have of this word empty and nothing and so forth. If fear arises because it doesn't understand that there's not a being there to begin with. It's never been one there. You've always been selfless in some way. But yeah, it just hasn't been expressed in its fullest capacity, right? The point is you're already enlightened. It's just advantageous stains that block the full expression of it. And so yes, you are loving to your pets and your family, your close friends. You are expressing selflessness, your true nature, but it is small. It is confined. That is samsara. Samsara limits, it contracts. It doesn't allow for full limitless expression. Samsara just like tightens that box a bit there. Because you try to make it predictable. And so my last piece of advice here is stop. From Lama Lina, so just stop trying to perfect samsara. Stop trying to perfect this thing called your life, please. The second you touch a perfection, it will fall apart. It changes. Give it time. It'll change. There's no perfecting your life. And therefore, yes, motivate, do things, do what you got to do, but keep that openness that don't reify it. Use this wisdom of emptiness to know that you can't hold on to things. They're ephemeral. They're an appearance. And so, wow, it's appearing to you fully and truly. You believe it. It arises. It appears to you, but yet it isn't there. There's not something solid there that you can hold on to. And so you sit in wonder of it. You sit in amazement of it. And that's how you relate to life in this way. You sit to it's amazement to your life. Like it's occurring. Wow. So that's there. That's nice. But this takes, do the practice. Never try to feel bad because you can't, quote unquote, get the concept. The point is you can't get the concept. Can't grasp the concept. The concept is fleeting. It's going to change. You're going to always have a million thoughts that'll block you from processing this concept. Better to go directly. Better to do the meditations, do the contemplations, and arrive at it directly through experience, that experience which passes the surface mind, passes the blockages. Do something that occurs for that. Do something that allows for that. I was speaking to a friend, and he said, not knowing any of these practices, what he was doing one time was he literally when he was at work and he had that resting time, he would just, when something arose, when a perception arose for him, he would break down step by step that perception, the object and the subject, and the doing. He would break it down through concept, through understanding it, like, let's reiterate, breaking it down over and over. He would do this, and he got a glimpse. He tasted true emptiness. And that's what we're saying. Intellectually, you can. So do it intellectually. If you sit down in meditation, arise, put an object in front of you, a cup. Well, a cup that arose in my mind, I can call it a thought. A thought cup can arise. But let me take a closer look. First of all, you go into like whatever science you want to go into. There's so many techniques for this, but you want to go into science. Science will tell you, it's not really, it's made up of all these little tiny parts, these aggregated parts clump together to form this little shape in front of you. And shape and color arises in your mind. The thought, the perception of shape and color and depth perception all arises in your mind. And so break that down. Start to break that down little by little, relaxingly break it down. And through this contemplation, if you're really doing the contemplation directly, you will taste it. That's what we're saying. We're saying that you do the method, you'll taste it, but you have to do the method openly, and if you're lucky, with devotion. I say luck because not everyone, has that. Let's see. Any other topics you guys want to questions about anything you heard recently before we call it? In the mandala offering, his lands are completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal. There you go, man. Okay. First of all, things can be real and unreal, right? A concept can be real and unreal. Because you see, when you say this unreal, right? There's this word unreal here. It still falls into that duality in which there was initially a thing, and that thing can now be unreal. The thing was once real, and now it's unreal. So first of all, right off the bat, duality is imprinted, it's built in there. Use emptiness. There is not solidly anything there. Not solidly anything there, it's an appearance. Names and forms we arise in mind have no basis. Use that to see now your mind as it is. What we're saying, your mind as it is, your wisdom mind right now, this present moment, is beyond real and unreal. It cannot be categorized as a real thing because you cannot grab hold of it. If I ask you to find this mind in which you claim to be real, go find it. Not even the Buddhists have found their mind. They have not found their mind. Yet, you can't say it's unreal because mind is the basis for all experiences. And so this is where we get into Nagarjuna. It completely shatters all the possible logical baskets you can put things in. It blows it up. And so you are left with just simply beyond whatever duality you want to put, beyond meditating and non-meditating, beyond permanence and impermanence, beyond thinking and non-thinking, beyond bliss and non-bliss. Whatever you wish to put that duality there. If you concretize, if you reify a thing as a thing, it then falls into the realm of duality. Thereby, you have already stained its true nature. And so your mind cannot be comprehended and understand this very basic thing. It cannot be grasped at. Yes, you can comprehend with thoughts and concepts the things that arise in your mind, but what we're pointing to is the very essence, the nature of you, mind. And so we come down to this. All appearances are mind. And you can see this very clearly in just looking at your mind as it is. Whatever's arising is appearing there. Just look at mind. Look at mind right now if you want. Things are appearing, are they not? For some reason, we all have this idea in the West that it's somehow here. Even though in Tibet, they're taught that mind and heart are the same word, so they feel it here. It's very, very weird, right? When you think mind, you think it's behind your eyes or something. It's up here. But when a Tibetan hears the word mind, they feel it here. They see it, they imagine it to be here. And that's what we're saying. It's a sense. The sense at which you think you can solidify mind to be one place in time and space, look into that. That's it. That's your inquiry right there. You've reified mind to be a thing in which when things arise in it, you think mind is over here and things are over here. But for anything to arise, for you to know of anything, cognizance must be there. Mind must be present. The mind at which sees and the object of perception are not separate. You cannot remove your mind from the objects of perception. That is that interdependency. And see, this thing we call mind here, if you're still clinging to mind as this little ball, this little thing somehow over here, that non-duality will not be apparent. And so now, when you are shown eventually your naked mind devoid of all clothes, no perception, no thoughts, no emotion, resting just nakedly with your mind, you'll notice something. Two things. At this point, if you're able to rest nakedly in naked mind, you're resting in primordial purity. There's two words I'm going to use here. I'm going to use the word primordial purity. There's two words, sorry. And I'm going to use spontaneous presence now. Your mind as it is. We're saying it's primordially pure. Meaning, nothing has ever stained your mind. If all is empty, you are empty. There's never been a being there that which can stain something permanent. Call mind. Call you. You think you're mind. And so, primordially pure. You can be stained. Your mind cannot be stained. Its nature is primordially pure. It has never known stain. It has never known the touch of anger, the touch of sadness, the touch of anxiety. It's never known the touch of any of it. Yet it is inseparable from it. That's what we're looking. Don't keep it separate. The paradox is here is that yes, it experiences as the basis of all things, yet nothing has ever touched it. Because it is not a thing that which can be stained, your own mind. Good. Let's leave it there. And next, spontaneous presence. Spontaneous presence now, these two concepts, right? Primarily pure, spontaneous presence. Spontaneous presence refers to the fact that right now, as you are, your mind is cognizant. It knows. Wide awake you are right now. You know. Feel the fact that you know right now that you were here. That's stretching it, to be honest. That's stretching it. But here, just know right now that you were here. This presence is here. Know that presence is your cognizant mind. The fact that your mind is illuminated, that your mind is not some dark place in which nothing ever is there, nothing ever grows. No, your mind is actually very, very bright, very fluid and moving. And yet, still, it has never known fixation. It has never known a solid thing in there called the mind. That unity of spontaneous presence and primordial purity, once again, these are not things. These are just ways of explaining something that, once it's another way of explaining something that cannot be explained, which is your own mind. But yeah, spontaneous presence, primordial purity, the union, inseparable, cannot actually be separated, your mind. And so, yes. All right, now I'm going to end with this one I think I love so much is this quote here. This itself here. This is from Mahamudra. First, you were shown that appearances are mind. You were shown directly for whatever in this path, you were shown directly that all appearances are mind. And this can occur as a mystical experience. Don't take it as just an intellectual thing you got to figure out. No, look into what practices there are that you can start doing to see this for yourself. And the best one is contemplation on emptiness. Through this, you'll see that mind is all appearances, and you will have no doubt that your mind is all appearances. You'll have this wisdom. You'll have this wisdom. Okay. Then, that mind is emptiness. Very simple. The emptiness in which you're contemplating, you'll come to see that your very mind is that. Your very mind is A, devoid of selfhood, meaning no fixation, no solid fixation in time and space. And B, there's a suchness to it, a fullness to it. You'll be shown that. Your mind is that empty fullness. You're not done yet. Because that empty fullness can be felt in deep, concentrated meditation. But we're not done yet with that. That's not the end. We say, once you know that your mind is that empty, devoid, that selfless suchness, you'll see that that emptiness is spontaneously present. Meaning, that very emptiness, at this point here, it's 10 o'clock. Okay, yeah. At this point here, let's do the practice. But beyond this is this. That very mind, which is emptiness, and you realize now that emptiness is spontaneous presence. The emptiness that is there, that is your mind, that is empty suchness, that direct experience of emptiness, you will see now that is the present moment, that presence of God, that spontaneous presence. We call it different names, but it's the same thing. Your mind now will be seen directly as it is to be none other than that presence, that loving embodied presence. Okay. It's intimate presence, spontaneously there, meaning you need not create it. Usually we think we need to create a world. Like we're thinking in our minds, okay, I have to do this, do that, do that. I have to fix that, not do that, say this, not say this. That's creating. That's not spontaneous. You're trying to create, manufacture samsara. That's what you're doing. What we're saying is your mind has always been spontaneously present. It has been there through every experience in and out. No matter how good, how bad the experience, your mind has always been there. It is your mind that will be with you when you die, during the bardo, and in your next life. It's always mind. Okay. And finally, that spontaneous presence is liberated in and of itself. Very simple. Sounds like a lot, but it's very simple. Spontaneous presence now. This very moment, as you know, things arise, things change, things dissolve. This very moment, look around, relax, and see that simply things arise by themselves, spontaneously to do what they do. You don't have to make gravity happen. You don't have to make the trees do what they do. Shit, you can barely make your body do what you do, want to do it most of the time. Shit, you much less your thoughts. God, them things be wild. Can't control that. All is spontaneously occurring and it's self-liberated, meaning things in their nature are liberated already. It is our clinging, liberating, meaning that they're released from a bond, right? Liberated, something that's bound and bonded. Things have always been able to be released by themselves. But notice that it is our mind that creates this sort of sensation of bondage in which we are linked to overthinking. We are bound by this emotion, this memory, this person, this idea, this, this like, this dislike. We sum this past trauma, this new one coming. We are always seeming to be bound by it, yet it's already self-liberated. No matter what arises, you know it will self-liberate. Why worry? At that point, no problems. If you know things are spontaneously liberated in and of themselves, why even try to hold? You need not even hold, because you know they're going to be liberated anyway. What are you holding on to? All you're going to hold on to is like a remnants of it, and that's nothing. That's equal to like mist on a sunny day. It just goes away. Okay, that was good. That was cool. Thank you all for coming to this. If there's any more questions, now is the time. Oh, I'm watching this anime called Black Clover, and there's this quote here I want to just hysterically say because it's so cool. It says, "True concentration comes from a calm heart." And I can't express, this really is it, right? Is that I think this says is that if you need to recognize you are not the body, not the mind enough to sit for meditation, at least a little bit. And I think it's true from that calm, and that arises from a calm heart, as we say, right? But just what bodhicitta is so important is that bodhicitta and devotion allows you to have a calm heart, and through that calmness, naturally your concentration is able to develop. You're able to further in your practice. You're not so caught in so many sidetrackings of like fixation, because you're so in depth and trained in bodhicitta and devotion that literally everything now becomes like, well, I'm giving it away anyway. You're now in this habit of just giving to either the guru, giving to a being. So there's so much giving occurring in every moment that, you have little time to fixate. Little occurrence of fixation, sorry. Little occurrence of fixation occurs because you're breaking down the habit energy of selfhood, self-grasping. Me, me, me. That's broken down. Okay. All right, good. I'll say dedication prayer because always, listen, this also is deeply important in this tradition, I find, is the dedication of the merit. Dedicating the merit, meaning whatever goodness that was acquired from this, you know, whatever you may have earned or gained, it seemed, it's okay. Offer that fruit up. No matter how small, offer it up with a full heart. Even if you got like excited for a moment, it's offered all up. Offer whatever joy you gained, whatever smile you gained from it, um, whatever clarity you gained, offer it up with a full heart. Otherwise, you'll stifle it. Okay. By this merit, may all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. Okay. Let me also thank you all for coming. I'll stop recording now. Thank you all for coming. Have a good